There's no way that you're going to become an A-list celebrity or be like huge without pushing certain narratives and having a certain agenda and staying away from certain topics. Like he went on the Rogan podcast, right? And dude, he couldn't give a real take on anything. Like
I saw that. Yeah.
Rogan asked him about Palestine, Israel. He gave like clearly a publicist type answer, politically correct. And that's just the game. Like once, if you have certain viewpoints, you're never going to reach a certain level of fame. And you just got to be content with that because mainstream media simply won't platform you or put you on because you have opposing views that might be considered, you know, the word they like to use is extreme or radical a lot of the times.
When do you think like this mainstream media thing, the legacy media thing is going to like almost completely die?
It's dying now.
Yeah.
We're watching it die right now as we speak. I mean, I think the BBC failed where they tried to do that hit piece on Andrew and made themselves look crazy because he released the footage, etc. People aren't trusting Fox News like that anymore. Tucker left, that hurt their credibility. No one's ever really taken CNN seriously or MSNBC anyway. So like mainstream media is dying and a lot of people get their news now from Twitter. So, you know, and then like, you know, creators now a lot of times are reporting stuff. But the thing is that these big companies will censor you or stifle your ability to speak honestly. I think X is doing a really good job in Rumble, right there at the forefront of free speech. Like they just reinstated Nick Fuentes on Twitter, who's one of the most banned guys.
Huge.
Which I think was huge. He did a Twitter space and there were like almost 40,000 people in there listening. So clearly people want to hear opposing voices that have been
That's what
censored.
I never understood that, where it's like, why would you just have this whole opposing side just silenced? That doesn't make sense to me. And that
well, it's only when you talk about a certain topic.
But yeah, but even beyond that topic, a lot of other things just in general just are like, oh, it's taboo or you can't talk about this or you can't make jokes about this. Like, I just wonder what's the purpose of that, because it almost like if you just look at it from a bird's eye view, it's like clearly something's wrong if you're...
So this is what and I'm just thinking about this now. Like there's level of baseness that you can hit, right? So like if you criticize transgenderism, there's two genders.
You're fine.
That's safe. I call that like tier 3.
Except on
right
Twitch.
baseness.
You'll get banned on Twitch for that.
Yeah, like Twitch you'll get banned. But like you can get away with it on YouTube, you can get away with it on X, you can get away with it on most platforms, right? Then you can get into feminism is a lie, right? And you can start criticizing the horror culture, OnlyFans, pornography, etc., and you know use the premise of religion or whatever it be. That's fairly safe too. Then you can get into geopolitics, right? And if you take a conservative side and you avoid certain topics, you'll be safe, right? Kind of like what the guys over at Daily Wire do. But then once you go into a certain topic, which Candace Owens has treaded on a bit, and they got rid of her. Obviously, guys like Nick have talked about. Jackson Hinkle got banned. Like, then they really start to get into you. And it's that one topic that they will almost always get rid of you. Now, October 7th, so many people are doing it that it's almost hard to moderate. But prior to October 7th, if you talked about it, dude, it was like almost like an instant censorship.
And you would think that
for a long time.
You would think that they would just allow the market of free speech to be able to debate and oppose these points, right? If they really thought that they were wrong and these people are dangerous, then they would just let people ratio you and reply to you and have these open discussions. But they really just don't want you to have these conversations. They allow certain people to prop up, like Hassan Abi you've had on the podcast. Yeah. He can be able to go on Piers Morgan. He'll go to mainstream media talking about this issue, but he's the selected guy because he won't go that far. They need somebody to speak about it where they think it's safe enough so that they can have the conversation and make it look like there's free speech, but when in reality there really isn't.
He's also a woke. He's a liberal. So like
that's why they allow him.
He's afforded a certain level of protection. But people are waking up, dude.
Do you guys ever think you go too far?
No. I think you only go too far when you start advocating for violence. Like if you're going to...
That's a problem. That's never good.
Yeah, that's never good. Other than that, when it comes to... I don't think there's any limitations on free speech.
And I've been open about this. Like I've told people, like, dude, if you're ripping down posters of like innocent Israelis that were kidnapped, like you're a piece of shit. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can support, right, you could be against the genocide and still have empathy for the people that were kidnapped, because at the end of the day, innocent people are innocent people, and there's never an acceptable parameter to condone violence against civilians ever. So, when I see these people ripping down posters of the Israelis that were kidnapped, I'm like, what's wrong with y'all? Stupid. Yeah. Ridiculous.
It just like, I don't know, man. It's just such a weird time to be in the space of like talking and this whole, like, even having a podcast and just feeling like you just can't fully say how you feel without feeling like you're going to be hacked.
Yeah.
It's insane.
My thing is this. I'm aware of the stark differences between men and women, and I point them out. And people refer to that as hate. However, if you really listen to what I say, right, versus what detractors say about me all the time, I think women need to be protected. I think they need to be provided for. I think they need to be taken care of. And I accept that there's just inherent gender differences and we're not the same. And since we are not the same, that means that there's different treatment that needs to be given to each gender. So no one criticizes me when I say we need to protect and provide for our women, etc. But then they'll get mad at me when I say, well, women aren't leaders. It's like, well, you got to pick one. So do you want me to be a gentleman and take care of you and give you these chivalrous traits, etc., and be a gentleman? Or do you want feminism? Because if you want feminism, guess what? We're equal. We're splitting this bill down the middle. We do everything down the middle. And the issue is that the problem with feminism is that it doesn't align with biological reality, right? Like what's politically correct and what's real are two different things. Like feminists will sit there and tell you, I remember this video went viral, this LA chick, she talked about how she went out with a guy that like paid the bill and took her on a real date and planned everything out and how she was so attracted and aroused by it versus other guys that she's met with in LA where, you know, they're splitting bills down the middle or whatever. And it just goes to show like, you know, your hard wiring is your hard wiring regardless of your political ideologies or whatever, right? Biology always trumps what's in what you think you know. So and I've always said attraction isn't a choice. So the reality is women are attracted to whole misogynistic guys, as they would define, that align with gender norms and you know, gender roles. So that's what it is. So I just acknowledge this and I tell men to be men and be leaders and don't put your girl in a leadership role. And then people say I'm a misogynist for that. But then when I say women shouldn't work and men should provide for them and she should have the ability to work electively, they're like, oh, that's awesome. I agree with that. So they pick and choose the gender roles that I talk about.
That's why you think that you don't actually hate women. That's
of course not, dude.